What's going on, YouTube? Sorry about the bouncing. It's my new mount. But a lot of fun stuff has been going on last few days for me. Had a lot of new props coming down the way. Some Geralt of Rivia stuff. Some Ash vs. Evil Dead stuff. But something really cool came my way. I worked out a deal with somebody online for an exchange of services. And I came across something very cool. So, as many of you know, Galaxy's Edge has recently stocked 2 new lightsabers for Star Wars fans. One of which is the Ben Solo lightsaber, which is the pre-Kylo Ren mod without the Quillians. And that's a really slick-looking saber. And the other one is the fixflex, or the final edition of the graflex lightsaber, the repaired graflex lightsaber that was destroyed in The Last Jedi. So everybody is a big fan of the graflex in the Star Wars world. So most of you guys know we started with the 7 grip A New Hope lightsaber, which is always the classic, the go-to. It was the first real major prop that set a lot of prop collectors crazy. That progressed through Return of the Jedi. The graflex had departed, sort of. By the time we got to Return of the Jedi, Luke didn't have a graflex anymore because he had lost it in Empire Strikes Back, but Vader's lightsaber was actually a graflex that they modified because they no longer had a Highland for him, which was kind of funny. So Vader's lightsaber was a graflex in the 3rd movie, which is kind of weird. And then, of course, in the new trilogy, and then the prequels, they had the skinny flex, which wasn't really a flex, but it was, supposed to be. Rey acquires the Empire Strikes Back version, which they modified a few times throughout the series, and we ended up with a very nice amalgam of parts from both sets of graflexes, both A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and it modded and changed, and then it got destroyed. Everybody was pissed, and then everybody wondered if Rey was going to get her staff into a lightsaber or whatever, and then they changed it. They actually repaired it, and it was the first thing we see in the trailer for Rise of Skywalker, and we were kind of surprised to find out that there were quite a few lightsaber surprises in Rise of Skywalker. But I was able to talk with someone who had picked up one too many, and was willing to send one my way for a negotiable situation. So I got a box, and it's got a thing inside. I have already gone in and painted the box. I'm a huge fan of these containers they have, and I knew as soon as I saw one in the gray plastic that I wanted to mod the shit out of this. So already I gave it a dry brush. It's going to get some paint. It's going to get some much more fun stuff. So it's going to kind of look like my lightsaber Kyber crystal holder. So we're going to give it a nice, interesting paint job. It's going to be pretty cool. So this has a release button. And when you release it, it opens up and has a very nice display of the fixflex. So let's take a look at our fixflex from Galaxy's Edge. I believe this one was from California. First things first, it's heavy as fuck. It's way heavier than a lot of the other Hasbro sabers that I've picked up. There's a lot more heft to this, which is interesting. It's a little shinier than the original Force FX run. So as you can see, the Force FX run, which is this, was a lot duller and not quite as reflective as this. It's much more evident in person, but this just has a more of a faded white look. This is a much more silvery gunmetal look. There's also the glass eye. So there's a big change from glass eye to glass eye. You can see it's not a separate piece. It's not a separate plastic piece. It does sit over it, but it is metal. The other thing I noticed is there's an inaccuracy in the fixflex. The 2 little pistons, the 2 little rivets in there, the top rivet is supposed to have a copper backer. It does not have that. I'll have to add that. But if you notice from the original, they've shrunk down the size of the pins. I don't know how accurate that is to a real graflex. I haven't compared. It's still got a basic screw, and it still has a plastic housing wraparound. One thing that I like that they modified is the original Master Replica and Hasbro line. The bunny ears didn't go through. It just sat on top, so there was no cutaway. They have gone in and done the cutaway with this, so you can see. So it looks like the bunny ears are supposed to go through. The joke is they don't, but at least the cutaway is there, so they did strive for some accuracy. The other thing I really like is the beer tab. So if you notice on the old school one, it bends up to accommodate the extra spacer, the size of the spacer that's in there. This tab is completely flush, which is pretty cool. I'm a big fan of the way this fixflex looks. Now, the surrounding housing, let me just step out and then it'll focus. The surrounding housing does look like it kind of just sits on it in both these sides, so that's kind of a little wonky. But it's got all the little necessary pieces. I like, it has a bit of a look of, again, I'll step out and it'll focus. The brazing. So somebody who's done brazing knows that that just looks like worms, and I could go in and modify this with a little bit of, well, I could actually braze it. I could actually put a blowtorch on it and then do that, or sand away down to the copper, but good enough. It's got a really nice leather texture. This is stitched on, so the little tab that sits over it. This has 8 and a part of a 9th, so they're supposed to have 9 on this. They got pretty close, so it is that 9. It does have this is movable. This is the activation box. The box is wider than a regular graflex block, and it's got 2 rivets here. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but they're hex screws. They're not rivets. The clamp is actually plastic, chromed plastic with all the rivets around it, but that looks pretty good. The rubber grips are much improved from the old school. They're very nice. They feel nice. They hold nice. I'm a big fan. You can hear that rattling. That's actually my bunny ears. The bunny ears on this are a little loose. I'm going to go in and fix that at some point. It just looks like the spacer needs some clamping, but I kind of like that it rattles, though. Kind of makes it feel legit. Looks like I missed a spot shaving. I got to deal with that. Something else that's really interesting is that they've abandoned the belt hanger. It has a weird screw off. This is how you get to the batteries. So this screws off to reveal the battery pack. So kind of a weird way to put in the battery pack. I don't know why they didn't just keep this whole piece as one piece and then have it come off like a cap like the old ones used to. Like that. I'm really not sure why they switched to this method. I believe this was also how the Mace Windu worked. But my Mace Windu is long since modified. I turned my Mace Windu into this a while ago, and it no longer functions. It's just a nice, cool thing to hang off your belt. One other thing that's kind of interesting is Rey modified one of the grips into a belt clip. Now, it's a different material than the others. It's solid plastic, but it's flimsy. And as you can see, it does not look like it would take much weight. So I do not recommend you actually holding on to a belt through this, because this looks like it'll snap right the hell off. What's cool is a little bit more of those 4 hex screws actually hold this on, which means a friend of mine brought up somebody's going to make a metal replacement for this at some point so that people can upgrade their fixflex. So overall, I'd have to say that the fixflex is a really solid looking replica, but it still is just got some setbacks. Rattling bunny ears, plastic housing, plastic wraparound. Does come with a blade plug. It's not painted. Now I can paint it, but the generic blade plug. I mean, is it great that it comes with a blade plug? Yeah. Is it really low quality? Yeah. It's solid formed plastic. So I'm actually going to go in and paint this and make this a little bit more of a legit blade plug. But overall, I have to say the different mix of types of metal they used on it, the beer tab, the side tab, they're all different metals. That combined with the chrome, it is, it's a solid 8 out of 10. One cool factor, if you already have been to Galaxy's Edge or you wanted to, you could pick up an attachable blade. And that's pretty nice. Now, as you may have noticed, it's turning on and off on its own. Part of the reason it's doing that is because the attachment is not great in this. It's really not solid. So you got to really shove that sucker in there and make a solid connection. And then it should... There you go. And it should do what it's supposed to do. But you got to really push it in there. So loose connection for the interchangeable blade is a bit of a negative. Come on. But bear in mind, you're probably only using this for brief photos. I did a Ben Solo challenge earlier. But I would say as a display piece to just stick on a wall, 9 out of 10. Looks gorgeous. As a functional lightsaber that you can both put the blade in, dual, and hold up to high-level scrutiny, 7.5 out of 10. I'm sure there's some other high-end people converting these into really solid ones. I've even seen some 3D print ones that look pretty good. But overall, this is my kind of saber. I'm not huge into $1,000 sabers with NeoPixel blades and all that shit. I don't give a fuck. I'm putting it on the wall next to 3 other graflexes. Shit, one of them's a goddamn video game controller. So it's the right size. It's thinner. It's smaller. It's shorter. It's stubbier. I really like the fixflex. I love this as a belt hanger. I love this crap. If you want to compare it to a Savi, this is a Savi, and then this is the fixflex. So I think they're great. I think it's a good investment. The box is a beautiful piece. Really big fan of the box that these things come in. And they display beautifully in the box. You could put this on a 45-degree angle and display it just like that, and it's gorgeous. Now, did I repaint it? Of course I did. That's what I do. But I love these little extra knickknacks and things like that. So, my recommendation is, if you were happy with the Force effects, the new fixflex is a huge improvement on it. You'll be extremely happy with your investment. If you are really a high-end saber collector, take it or leave it. It's not going to be up to your standards, but for most people, I think they'll enjoy it. Which is, again, who Disney is building these for. They're not going to know these super, super high elitist details. So, to everybody who tunes in, I hope you enjoyed that little preview of the fixflex. I hope you pick one up if you get a chance. If anybody picks up the Ben Solo, I'd love to see some more high-level pictures of it, but I still may just make one. But stay groovy, keep doing your thing, and make sure you tune into Knights of Samaria's Facebook page for some updates on some really cool Evil Dead shit coming down the pipe. Stay tuned to this page for multiple Geralt of Rivia uploads. I'm going to be discussing how to make an economy Geralt of Rivia sword, which I will preview to you now. This is an economy Geralt of Rivia sword. It's something that if you just had it in hand, at quick glance, it looks like Geralt's sword. Is it super accurate? No, but I'll show you how to do that too. I will be reviewing the best Renfreeze brooch you've ever seen from Make Mia. I worked a little bit in getting some of the reference material to Make Mia, and Gavin was able to pop out probably the most accurate. It's actually better than the one on the show. We've actually got a really high res picture of the one from the show, and it's handmade, and you can see the imperfections. Gavin even corrected those, so it's the most accurate. All the detail is there. It's phenomenal. And I'll have one of those to review very soon. And then I'll have my soft parts costume for the Butcher of Blaviken. Blaviken? I actually don't remember how to say it. Sorry. I'm debating about doing the armor. Cosplay Chris is doing a really great tutorial now. I don't want to duplicate his work, so if I make one, I'll just make it. I probably will do a brief video on it showing you what I used for parts, because he's using high-end stuff and I use cheap shit. But my cheap shit works. And we're continuing to discuss Knights of Samaria rings from Ash versus the Evil Dead. These replicas are being made by me and my Australian counterpart from CB Studios, and they're available through the Knights of Samaria page. I am working on some now, actually. And we are the only people who make them accurately. We're the only people who have pieces screen cast. So we have screen used rings that we've cast to help make these. So if you're into that shit, you should hit us up. I am not selling them on YouTube. You have to go to the Knights of Samaria Facebook page to buy it. If you message me below and you ask me how to get one, I'm not going to respond to you because I hate telling 5 people the same fucking thing. Just go to the Facebook page and buy it there. So that's the end of it. That's what we have coming up. I don't think I have any more Star Wars stuff for a while, but I will have some Geralt of Rivia stuff coming in the next few videos, so I hope you guys enjoy that. And some Evil Dead shit.